Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us for tonight's panel discussion. My name's Bill Burden. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the Associate Director and Engineering Liaison in the Center for Career and Professional Development here at Lehigh University. Tonight, we have an amazing panel on exploring engineering careers and majors, where we'll hear from engineering seniors and alumni about their experiences as PC Rosin engineering students. Our goal today is that wherever you are in the process of choosing a major or career path in engineering, that you'll come away with something, a new idea or fresh perspective, a new strategy that will help you move forward with some more confidence. So before we jump in, let me tell you a little bit about how things are going to unfold. First, we're going to take a few minutes to have each of our panelists introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their educational background. And then I'll kick off the conversation by asking some questions about how they've navigated decisions regarding their major and their career path. You might notice that the chat feature has been disabled for this webinar, but we invite you to submit questions via the Q&A feature at any time. But we may not get to all of your questions, but we'll do our best to cover as much as we can in the time that we have. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with our panel introductions. So panelists, we're going to start with Alonzo. If you could please introduce yourself and include your name, your class year or your graduation year, and your academic program. And if you want to add in a little bit about how you first became interested in engineering, that would be great.
Thank you, Bill. So, hello everyone. My name is Alonso Cornejo. I'm a computer science and business student, currently a senior, and my pronouns are he, him, his. So I became interested in engineering probably because I was interested in kind of solving problems and kind of innovating. So I think there's like a good intersection that all engineering majors can like share.
Hi everyone, my name is Constantine. I'm a senior here at Lehigh. My major is civil engineering. I'm from Long Island, New York originally, and the reason that I first fell in love with engineering is that back in high school I was the president of our Science Olympiad Club, and in that role I was able to select my own events. I don't know if anyone is familiar with Science Olympiad, but it's a competition nationally where there's different STEM field events, and you can there's different disciplines and majors involved with each of those. So I, for myself, selected most of the building competitions and fell in love with creating structures. One of the competitions involved building a balsa wood tower, and I went through 9 iterations of building a single tower for that event, and it won me a medal at the state level competition. And that experience combined with my love for math and science pushed me towards pursuing engineering.
My name is Jessica. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm a senior in the Integrated Business and Engineering program, studying chemical engineering. And I first became interested in engineering in high school. Again, I loved math and science. And then because of that, I actually attended a few engineering summer camps back in high school at the University of Dayton and Purdue University. And those just solidified my interest in engineering. I think that, I had some opportunities to, have an open mind and work on some very open-ended projects. And I love that side of thinking and that way of using your brain. So that's why I love engineering.
Hi everyone, my name is Princess Scott. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I graduated in January of 2021 with a BS in Civil and Environmental Engineering, and this current May this year with a Master's in Technical Entrepreneurship. So the reason why I decided and became interested in engineering is kind of echoing with Jessica. I love math and science growing up. So automatically a lot of family members and friends pushed me towards engineering as a focus to study in. And I also just really enjoyed building and taking things apart. So it just seemed like the right fit for me.
Thank you for those great introductions. It's really neat to hear about your varying experiences that drew you to the field. Can you each talk a little bit more about how you honed your interest down to a specific sub-industry? Or was there something that really helped you decide on a specific major within the field of engineering?
So in my case, I was very interested in Excel at the beginning. I found out like many of the functions using Excel are actually called algorithms. And then I was really going into business. So then I decided, why not to try this? And that's how I tried computer science and business program, and eventually ended up like liking it. I believe like it's probably like the environment of the program and how the classes that I took like relates to my interest, and also provide challenges which believe help me to improve both as a person and professional. That are actually the ones that make me like the major.
Hi everyone. So as mentioned previously, I'm a civil engineering major here, and what pushed me towards selecting this as my intended major was that I wanted to work with structures and things that are static, not necessarily like moving items like when you're dealing with like a mechanical engineering degree. Although equally as important, I wanted to work with larger structures in our infrastructure versus smaller scaled projects as well. And another factor that persuaded me to pursue this major was I wanted to select an engineering major that was not heavily reliant on coding.
So again, just a little reminder, I'm a chemical engineering major. I always really loved chemistry and organic chemistry in high school. But then when I got to Lehigh, I needed to make the decision on material science and chemical engineering, which some of you may be deciding on right now. And I ultimately decided on chemical engineering because I felt that it was more process oriented. I enjoyed the idea of taking processes that occur small size in like a beaker and scaling them up to a huge process vat. And also, I just think that chemical engineering can be applied to so many industries. So whether that be hand sanitizer or, foundation, like makeup, all of these processes need to be scaled up in that manner. And it really interested me to learn how.
So for me, I really enjoyed Engineering 5. Yes, Engineering 5, where you get to choose between two different engineering majors or disciplines rather. And but I kind of knew coming in that I'd choose civil because I grew up in the city of Bridges, Pittsburgh, and we have like 446, I want to say, to date. But for Engineering 5, I chose both civil and computer science because I was fascinated with coding. But then once I took the coding class for Engineering 5, I was like, nope, civil is the way to go. And I haven't left since.
Yeah, there's really value in giving something a try, right? When you really might have thought you were interested in it, and then you give it a try and you're like, whoa, maybe that's not for me, or maybe I'm not the most interested in that. So thanks for sharing about that, Princess. So after you decided, and jumped into your major, you touched on this a little bit, but was there any thoughts on how did it compare to what you thought it would be like versus how it actually all turned out to be when you joined the major and started taking more of that coursework? So kind of comparing your expectations with your experiences in the major, and related to that, is there anything that you really like the most about studying your major in that discipline? Do you have any kind of favorite classes or favorite things you want to mention about that major? Yeah, we'll leave it there.
All right. So I think what I like the most about computer science part is like how it actually allows to kind of be able to solve like any kind of problem, and the solutions you can build. Once you get like to a certain level, it's basically you can implement whatever you want. So that's the thing I like the most. And So some like talking about like the classes that I really like. I'll probably say the ones I like were also like the most useful like in life. And that includes like the first computer science class in the track, which in your case might be say CSE7. I did bad the first time. I felt like that was going to be my end, like in the computer science side. However, after the second class, I started improving. So never be discouraged by going like bad in the first class because you don't know how it's going to be after. I ended up being a TA for that class, ironically. So yeah, some of the classes I enjoy the most probably databases, machine learning, artificial intelligence, also software engineering.
So at first, when I selected civil engineering as my major, I initially thought that the major was strictly focused on like the structural aspect of it, you know, building bridges, buildings, tunnels, roadways, etc. But it has introduced me to like so many more ideas and perspectives because the umbrella of civil engineering encompasses a lot of different disciplines like structural engineering, geotechnical, water resources, site construction, construction management, the list goes on. So after exploring all the different disciplines within the major, a bunch of different factors have led me to wanting to pursue structural design engineering as my career. So along with that, one part of the decision to help me select that was taking structural design classes like steel and concrete design, which have been my favorite courses within the major because they're heavily reliant on performing design calculations. And just looking back, like let's say you have a homework assignment that's like design this beam or slab, being able to look at that and say, wow, I did that. I designed a structure that's able to safely hold the loads that were assigned to it. Just like it's a really rewarding experience to like reflect on your work.
So I would say the chemical engineering processes are very similar to what I imagined, but I would say that I guess I didn't realize that it was so oil and gas heavy, very oil and gas oriented. But with that being said, there's also plenty of opportunities in other industries like biomedical, consumer products, lots of options. But for me personally, I wasn't as interested in the oil and gas industry. So I actually sort of with the size of Lehigh, I was able to make an impact on the department and maybe fill a gap where I saw one. And a few years ago, I was able to join a task force and had the opportunity to actually create a new course at Lehigh called Coffee and Cosmetics, the Engineering of Consumer Products. So I'd highly recommend any of you take it if you are interested in something like that. But it allowed me to sort of gain leadership experience and certainly have something really cool to write about on my resume and speak about in interviews. All while, you know, filling that gap that I saw in the engineering department. And then as far as, you know, what I like most about the discipline, I would say that I like that it challenges me. It's definitely a hard major, but it's worth it. And it really teaches you how to think like an engineer. And I definitely do think I'm able to apply the things that I've learned about how to face a problem and sort of face like an unknown solution and use it ultimately in industry. I would say that yeah, it's really just, it's allowed me to learn how to think like an engineer. And I think that's a valuable skill that you can take into any industry or any job after graduation.
Jessica, I wish I was back in school just to take that class now. But for me, coming into Lehigh, I kind of knew I would have to work hard and that I would be taught information that I never learned before. So I tried to just keep an open mind and a curious mindset, regardless of like the classes I took. But over the course of my degree, I definitely started to pick up on, you know, who my favorite professors were, what courses that I caught on more quickly. And the classes that I really enjoyed were classes that had labs because I'm more of a visual and tactile learner. So I kind of need to utilize my hands in order for the material to kind of stick. So I enjoyed my geotech class and my civil materials class where we actually had the ability to like test soil and mix batches of concrete. So those were my two favorite things.
Thank you all so much. It's so cool to hear about your experiences, and you all light up when you talk about the things that you enjoy and are interesting to you. So it's awesome to hear. When we think about gaining experiences in the field, the first thing that usually comes to people's mind are internships. What kind of things can first-year students do to begin building industry skills or experiences or just knowledge or connections before that stage of getting ready to go into that full-time internship? Does anybody have any thoughts or ideas that they would want to share?
I'll say the best thing you can do actually is to first go to the company events that are on campus. So different organizations will have different events. So I'm part of the Work Alpha. We brought EY, like with CSBA, we brought last year we brought Bloomberg and SIG, and they always like all the club who actually like bring some kind of big company, and they will usually do like a kind of meet and greet. So it's always to go to those events because you meet the recruiter, and you can also get your name on the list, which is later going to be used like to see how much interest are you in the company. For more, try to go to this freshman year. They call it sometimes externships or summits, which are basically 1 day or 2 day like remote events in which you kind of know the company, and in some of them they even allow you to take the interview for the next like normal internship process.
So prior to an internship, based on my personal experience, I would say there's two main ways that I have found where you can get involved in like building your industry skills. The first I would say would be getting involved with undergraduate research, and the second would be joining like engineering or discipline specific organizations and clubs. So based on my undergraduate research experience, there are tons of ways to get involved now, whether it be the Global Impact Fellowship or Mountaintop Experiences, things of that sort. But what I personally did was simply email my professors and say, hey, what kind of research-oriented academic work are you doing? Because I'd like to get involved and maybe learn more about what you have going on. And then you can have a little back and forth conversation, introduce yourself, get to know your professors better. And it's all around like a general fantastic learning experience. Because after speaking with professors, students who are involved with research tend to not only perform better on their in their classes, but it helps develop lots of critical thinking skills that are applicable everywhere. And also, one thing I hadn't realized, which kind of pertains to the questions we answered previously, a big aspect of engineering is writing. And with doing undergraduate research, there's a lot of writing involved with that, with being able to clearly communicate the ideas that you are in fact researching. And in terms of clubs and organizations, I do a little shameless plug here. I'm currently the president of the American Society of Civil Engineers. So if you are thinking about pursuing your major in civil engineering, this is a fantastic opportunity where there's other clubs like this on campus. But personally, from the civil aspect, we host lots of company information sessions and help basically develop those soft skills of professional development. So those are my two little factors there.
So I would definitely agree with everything that Constantine mentioned. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the AICHE, which is the chemical engineering version of that professional organization he was talking about. I completely agree. There's amazing professional development opportunities there, but also I think something that at least AICHE does really well is sort of connects us better as a cohort. So they've hosted little get-togethers, friendsgiving, study sessions, networking sessions, things like that. I think they do a really great job of, building the friendships. So, when we're studying together at the library at the late hours, we have those friendships and those laughs that go along with it. I think it makes it a little bit easier to get through some of those tough nights. So definitely I recommend joining those professional organizations for the professional aspects, but also the friendship aspects.
So, echoing off what everyone said, I participated in a lot of clubs that kind of blended both my professional and social interests together. Like Constantine said, I did ASCE my undergrad year, and one perk of joining that club is you get a nifty little hard hat senior year. But I also did NSBE, which is National Society of Black Engineers. And over those 4 years, even I'm a current member now, the students that I've met and the professionals I've met at the conferences ultimately became my family. So I would definitely suggest doing a club for sure. But not even, this is kind of a side note, but not even just a professional one, but sometimes you don't realize that a social club can also help you network amongst other disciplines within Lehigh's campus and even other campuses in the Lehigh Valley that will be beneficial once you graduate.
Yeah, really good point, Princess. Every industry out there needs engineering minds, so you definitely want to be connecting with people outside in other colleges at Lehigh and, you know, in varying disciplines. Build that network. Now I would love to hear from you all about some of those larger internship experiences or those experiential learning opportunities that you might have participated in along your college journey at Lehigh. If you want to share any insight about what cool experiences you had and how they were really valuable for you or why they were valuable for you moving forward into your professional careers. So Princess, you want to start us off with this one?
Yes, so for most of my summers, I actually worked in career fields outside of my major, but I was able to do 2 internships that related to civil engineering. My, I guess, summer going into sophomore year, I worked with SCA, which stands for Student Conservation Association, as an assistant crew leader, and didn't know it at the time, but I was able to lead or assist in leading 12 high school students in building check steps and culverts and all the fun things that goes into maintaining a trail. And currently I work with Michael Baker International, and my job kind of relates to what I did back then because I am now doing design work for utilities on different sites. So there are some culverts that I'm accounting for within designs. So that's pretty cool. And in my junior year, I did the ICOCA International internship, which I was able to go to India for 2 months to become a construction process analyst, where I just got to read over a lot of Indian or a lot of building codes related to my area of work. So that was really interesting.
So I worked at Air Products and Chemicals. Some of you might know it. It's located in Allentown. It was a great experience. I think it's super important to try and gain at least one internship experience while you're at Lehigh. It's completely different from what you see in the classroom. We, at least in chemical engineering, we draw reactors as, you know, a box and some arrows on the piece of paper, but you know, a reactor in real life looks completely different. In person, they're huge, and you know, it's just crazy to see the things that you've been drawing and the math that you've been doing come to life. And I think that you gain some awesome experiences that you can bring back to the classroom.
So as mentioned before, I'm involved with undergraduate research, and one summer I actually stayed here over at Lehigh because I had applied to a few internships, and that was the year that COVID started to become a real issue. So the internships that I applied to were actually canceled. But because I was able to reach out ahead of time before the summer had begun, I was able to secure an undergraduate research position here on campus. So I stayed here for the summer to pursue that. And because of that, that started 2 years ago, and I have continued my research in that discipline since. And I was able to publish 2 papers with my name on it. So that's like a really good point to have on your resume. So I definitely would suggest something like that. And not only has that given me some cool perks and benefits like that, but has also persuaded me to pursue a master's degree in structural engineering here at Lehigh. And in terms of internships, last summer, I worked as a cable field engineer with Kiewit. They're a large construction firm. And I was working in Manhattan. This picture right behind me right there is actually me standing on the Williamsburg Bridge as a cable engineer. So that was a really cool experience. But what that experience showed me is that I actually don't want to pursue a career as a field engineer. I'd actually prefer to be a structural designer. So there's a lot of ups and downs when you take on opportunities like this, and they're very good learning experiences, because had I not had done that experience, I would have known that I didn't want to do that.
So I had like 2 main internships, which were kind of different, but kind of complemented each other. My sophomore year, I did PwC, and basically was tech consulting, kind of like more business, computer science intersection. And I believe like that helped a lot, because it was very useful to develop a lot of soft skills that you're likely going to use in the workforce, such as like formal kind of business writing, as well as working in teams in a PACE environment. And for my junior year, I decided to go like more into a technical role. I went to BioWash, data engineering role, which was kind of having AI and data transaction. I believe like the soft skills I learned in PwC were actually the most helpful in that internship rather than that technical part. And yeah, eventually I believe like the combination of those two, both the technical and the soft skills, are the ones that actually help you more in the industry, and not only in the industry, also like in the academic side of the thing.
So it sounds like you all are just thriving in these experiences, or thrived when you were doing them. So that's just so great to hear. But sometimes it doesn't all start off like that, right? When you started college, did any of you experience any big challenges adjusting to college life and the academic rigor of the engineering college specifically? Any words of wisdom for our first year engineering students?
So yeah, a big challenge for me was realizing that professors want to help you understand the material, and they do not expect you to know it right like from the first day that you walk into class. Hence why we're in school to learn. But coming into college, I was a very independent studier, like most of my classmates coming in. But it became very apparent early on that in order to thrive within my college classes, especially Chem 30, that the best means of studying was to do so with 2 or more people, especially to like bounce off ideas and make sure that we're all on the same page. But that took 1 or 2 semesters to like recognize.
I would definitely echo the importance of working in groups, not only for, the success academically, but also just for your sanity. Engineering is definitely very challenging. I've had more nights than I can count that, maybe some of my other friends were hanging out and I needed to stay in and study or do homework. But something cool that I've realized and noticed throughout the years is that I've become really close with the other chemies without even trying. So, each of those late nights that maybe from the outside look lonely or feel lonely, that's sad that you can't hang out with maybe your other friends. It's actually a night that you're getting closer with your cohort, and maybe some people that, you'll work at the same company with later and keep in touch with for the rest of your life. So I think that, working together and teaching each other is definitely can be helpful academically, and also lead to, lots of laughs and jokes and friendships.
One habit that I've gotten into that I feel has helped me was not waiting to complete assignments. So as soon as an assignment was due, even if it's 2 or 3 weeks from now, I'd open that assignment the day that it was assigned and just take a look at it. You don't have to start it, just take a look to start planning ahead of, so when you have a bunch of assignments due at the same time, they're not all piling on top of one on each other.
So I'm from Peru, just to note. So I did like high school in Peru. I did the Peruvian high school system, which the last thing we saw in math was y equal mx plus b, actually. And they coming directly to calculus 1. And well, in those times, the CSB program had 7 classes the first semester. So it was extremely hard, and I had like financial aid, so, and also like scholarships. So I had to keep like a high GPA while also adapting to a rigorous curriculum. I believe like my best advice and how I survived those years was just talk to the professor. So, I mean, don't be afraid to ask questions. And particularly in computer science, I could say in the classes you're going to have always like these students who have been coding their whole life. And then you have like this sort of group of students that also like you are starting to learn. So, you know, ask questions, don't be afraid like to comment like any issues you may have. I personally had like help both from the professor with the academic challenges, and I also learned a lot from a lot of my friends who now are eventually like working in big techs like Google, Amazon, and also like from other friends who were like as me, like in a difficult situation, and you know, working together, we eventually managed to succeed in them.
In terms of talking to the professor, I think COVID has definitely made that easier with the advancement of technology and, you know, virtual meetings being more prevalent. So if you're frightened to talk to your professor in person, I would say send them a, I was going to say Slack message, send them an email, or maybe even invite them to a Zoom link to ask questions and just be curious.
So the common theme I'm hearing is utilize your resources, utilize your community around you, ask for help when you think you need it or even before you think you need it. There are so many opportunities and resources available, from academic advisors to faculty members to academic support centers, the Career Center. The Lehigh community is here to help if you are feeling you know, like it's a tough road as you're getting started. I saw a comment in the Q&A feature, which I'm pretty confident that we answered appropriately. Question about how to overcome moments when you might think you just wanted to give up on engineering completely. So I think a lot of the answers that you all just gave really lend itself to that question. You know, leveraging your community and your resources on campus.
I'd like to add one more point to that question we just answered. So
yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that I have found to be super helpful was making friends with upperclassmen within the same major that I'm in, because they all went through the same experiences that you're going through right now and have been in your shoes. So 99% of the time, they're always open to help you, and you can always go to them with questions. So another great like reasoning for joining those clubs and extracurricular activities is that you meet people within your major that have been in your shoes, and if you make friends with them, you know, get their numbers, vice versa, you can, you know, reach out to them with any questions anytime.
Really good tip. Thanks, Constantine. I have a question in the chat here about all internships I've seen have been only open to sophomores and above. So how do you secure an internship the summer after freshman year? So yeah, you're not wrong. A lot of the opportunities that you'll find out there on Handshake and other, you know, websites that you might be looking at, a lot of these opportunities are limited to sophomore and up. So they are fewer and far in between these experiences that might accept freshmen. But there are a lot of other things that you can do that we've chatted about that you can gain experiences and skills and connections before going into that big full-time internship. So even over the summer, there are smaller opportunities for you to do projects with Lehigh alumni who might be working in the field you're interested in, and maybe not doing a full-time internship, but assisting them with a project that they might be working on over the summer. And so there's opportunities that we can connect you with those types of experiences. There's also opportunities through LinkedIn Learning, which you have access to as a Lehigh student. Those are online micro courses that you can take in a bunch of different topics. I was recently working with a computer science student, and they wanted to get more experience in a certain type of coding or software language. And we went onto LinkedIn Learning, and there's a whole course that was about 9 or 10 hours in total time that they could complete on their own time and get a certificate. And that's added to their LinkedIn profile. They can put that on their resume. So there are lots of other opportunities for you to do things to add to your resume and build your skills and experiences that aren't that full-time internship. So if you're interested in learning more about those different types of opportunities and you want to kind of explore those different options, come talk to us in the Career Center, and we're happy to help you brainstorm some ideas. I see Alonzo might have another thought.
Yeah, so what I can recommend, I have seen like people who have done this program tend to have like good results when they apply in their sophomore junior year, is the Mountaintop Campus Experience. So there you will like immerse in a different project that you work over the summer. And usually there is like for all different engineering disciplines. And that you actually gain real teamwork experience. And also, if you qualify, you also get paid too.
So I didn't really touch upon my master's too much, but something that I really learned from this past year is the power of LinkedIn. Bill, you mentioned LinkedIn Learning, but networking with people through LinkedIn has been very helpful, especially if you're a first year student or a sophomore and you just want to learn more about your industry. Reaching out and connecting with alumni within Lehigh's networking system by shooting them a message of like, hi, my name's Princess. I am studying civil engineering right now, and I am trying to just maybe even shadow you. And people, even though they are busy, tend to be responsive and really excited to know that there is a young professional trying to learn more about their career and how to better advance in that. So maybe trying something along those lines as well.
Absolutely. The power of networking is just exponential. I really appreciate you sharing that. I want to throw this out to the group. Are there any other services or resources that the Career Center offers that you utilize throughout your journey that helped support your professional and career goals throughout your time at Lehigh that you might want to recommend or give a little shout out for?
So I used the Career Center more on the tail end of my Lehigh career, and I mostly utilized it for the resume workshops, which I really needed, alongside how to craft my LinkedIn profile, because in lieu of what I said earlier, LinkedIn has been very beneficial in terms of like the connections and experiences I've got to experience throughout the last 2 years. So be able to develop a knack for how to make posts and how to professionally word some of your experiences within LinkedIn has been very helpful.
So I would like to give a plug to Handshake. I actually received my Air Products internship through Handshake. For those of you that don't know what it is, it's a really great tool, sort of like a one-stop shop for all of your career center professional development needs. It allows you to apply for jobs where companies are looking specifically to hire Lehigh students, so you're more likely to get hired. It has events that are hosted by the Lehigh Career Center or by those companies, so maybe some networking sessions in there. And then it also has the Career Center resources. So if you're not on Handshake yet, I definitely recommend checking it out. It will help you immensely and maybe even get you a job or internship like it did for me.
My freshman year, I had went to a ASC meeting like the first week, and their introductory meeting actually introduced me to the world of how important a resume is, whether it be for applying for an internship or even applying for an undergraduate research opportunity. Like professors will ask you, can I see your resume, for that sort of thing. So I went to Career Lab, which is the career center service that provides one-on-one assistance with whatever it is that you need, whether it's practicing your elevator pitch or building your resume or going over a cover letter, etc. And I went to the Career Lab and sat one-on-one with a Career Center professional, and they coached me through writing my first resume.
I basically agree with what Jessica said. Use the Handshake Career Center resources. They are like a lot. And basically on my resume, networking skills, I guess. And all that knowledge, I got it from the Career Center.
Great. So I recognize that we are getting close to the end of our time together. So I want to ask the panelists one last question to wrap up our discussion for today. So what advice would you have for first-year students who are embarking on their journey into the field of engineering? Or what do you know now that you wish you knew as a first-year student?
I can start. So I'd say to make sure that you also have classes that use different parts of your brain, which this is sort of a non-conventional answer, but I would say that some of my favorite classes were my non-engineering classes, not because I don't not love engineering, just it was fun to be able to use different parts of your brain. Even the biggest engineering fanatics can feel overwhelmed in those classes, so consider picking up that psychology course or a music course or a minor in religion or business or something. Those studies are definitely not for nothing. Whether you fill your electives or have something unique to talk about in an interview, I think definitely just don't lose track of your passions and the busyness of engineering. And then same goes for clubs. So don't feel like they need to be all engineering focused. Having something unique about you can actually help you in your future internships or endeavors.
For my part, I would say try different experiences. I mean, don't be afraid to try this new club, this new class, or basically an experience. You'll be amazed how much you can learn, and even how much you can actually change your mind for good.
I would say that for certain, every single one person on this call, there will be times where you have a lab report due the same day as a presentation with 3 exams the next day, and it's important that while all those things get completed, that you take everything one step at a time and ensure that you do find ways to have some stress relievers in your life, whether it be joining a club sport or I guess doing anything. Like for me, I found it was making sure that at least 2 to 3 times a week I go to the gym with my friends. So just those little experiences that break up all the difficult work that you do is super invaluable.
So for me, I would say just being honest with yourself. As a first-gen student, family and societal pressures are definitely real. But the older you get, the more you realize that these 4 years, while they are very stressful, they will be the best time of your life if you actually explore things that you're interested in, try out things you'd never even imagine.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to our panelists for giving their time tonight to share such wonderful insights, and to our student attendees who came and asked some really good questions. If you have questions that weren't answered today, you're welcome to come visit us at Career Lab walk-in hours to keep the conversation going. Career Lab is open Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. in McGinnis Hall 500. And no appointments are necessary, so please come see us and we'd be happy to work with you and answer some more of your questions and help you as you start off your engineering journey here at Lehigh. Thanks again to our panelists and take care, everyone.